Today we are going to talk to you about life with Broca's aphasia. Aphasia is life-altering for both the individual living with it and their family and friends. As a result, we are going to go over different tips for communicating with others and tips for family members. Before we get into the tips, you need to know a little bit more about aphasia. Aphasia refers to the loss of language skills resulting from damage to the brain. Depending on where the damage in the brain occurred, aphasia can affect many different elements of language. Broca's aphasia, also known as expressive aphasia, is caused by damage to the Broca's area of the brain in the frontal lobe. It results in hesitant, broken speech, however their understanding of others remains intact. In fact, people with Broca's aphasia can hear and understand that their speech is broken and doesn't necessarily make sense. This is called telegraphic speech. For example, the individual may want to express what they ate for dinner last night, which may come out as, "I can't, that one, remember, and yeah, yesterday when I dinner." In addition, many times these individuals also have intact literacy skills, meaning they can read and write. So I bet you're wondering how an individual with Broca's aphasia can communicate with others. One strategy is to fill out and carry around what is called a wallet card. The card simply explains what aphasia is and provides tips on how to communicate with them. It also contains a checklist to explain what aspects of language the individual has the most difficulty with. Lastly, there is a section for the individual to write down their personal information, such as their name and emergency contact.
Another strategy is to create a communication board. For example, the person can point to a bed to indicate they want to go to sleep, or request a tissue to blow their nose. You can easily create many different communication boards for any situation or activity. Oftentimes, individuals will have a difficult time finding the words they want to say. Here are a few strategies to help find words. One strategy is to have the person act it out or gesture what they are trying to say. For example, a thumbs up is to indicate good, or they can simply point to the object desired. The individual can also picture the word or image in their head to try and express it. Another method is to have the individual draw it or write the word. And lastly, you can ask the individual to provide you with the first sound, or if you know what the person is trying to say, you can provide them with the first sound of the word. Now we are going to discuss different tips for caregivers, family members, and friends. The first tip is do not yell to try to get your message across. There is nothing wrong with the person's hearing abilities, and talking louder will not do any good. On the other hand, speaking slowly so the individual can process what is being said to them is a good tip for communicating. Asking yes/no questions and giving the individual choices is a good strategy to lessen the demand on the person's expressive language use. Another tip is to encourage the person to point and gesture or have them sing their messages to help get the words out. And make sure you give the person enough time to respond. Lastly, a communication board or electronic speech generating device can be helpful. Overall, it is important to remember that aphasia is not a loss of intelligence, but simply a loss of language.